Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Debbie from Glitter Limes for Monday Night Hang. This is Monday Night Hang. And tonight, I have a special guest from Digman's Ferry, PA, right near Peters Valley School of Craft. Brienne Rosner's coming on. And she has really exciting work in all different kinds of materials that I'm just excited to see and hear her talk about. We're right in the middle of the Glitter Limes Mother's Day sale, so check it out online. There's tons of stuff ready to ship, so take a look. I'm wearing the newest colorway of my sprinkle collection, which is really pretty. All made from real food. We're waiting for Brienne to get on. It looks like she's on. And I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to add her on. And hi there. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, the lighting looks great. How are you doing?
Well, I was setting it up and I'm like, all right, what part's it gonna crop from my camera? I got this. I haven't tried out this stand yet, but
Ooh, I'll show you what stand I have later too.
yeah, I just keep getting the shadows. I'm gonna have to take my glasses off, but it's cool.
It looks good. It looks good. I love how you can see how your work on the wall frames you.
Yeah.
So, okay, one of the things, you can explain what you do, but one of the things that I find most fascinating about your work is that you have painting, you have textiles, you have metalwork, and you basically bring each thing and make it alive in each medium. And it's really fascinating. You embroider in your metalwork, you draw your embroidery, there's so many different things. It's really fascinating to me. So for the people who don't know your work, maybe you want to give a little tour before we get into anything.
Yeah. So yeah, here it all is. And I have a degree in painting. So I learned, right, very traditional, like oil painting from life, but I learned about color, composition, sheens, opacities, like all of these kind of technical terms, and like mark making and all that kind of stuff. And so then as I've learned and explored other materials, I kind of apply like those same attributes to work, right? So it's like now like I'm into like weaving with wire, and somebody showed me a technique and I'm running with it, but I just take all these and kind of you put them all in a library, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, I can show you on one. My work's really, I'm inspired by patterns and like kind of, I always say like the minutia of visual life, meaning like microcosm and macrocosm, right? All of that like micro photography of like fungi or cell structures and how you see these patterns repeated in nature. Everywhere, like, and leaf structures and dragonfly leaves and like wings, and they like all kind of look similar, right? And so I love that idea. It's like and that idea of pattern without repetition, because it's all a honeycomb. They're still, when you're making it, like they're all still like individual, right? You like these compartments. And so the same idea, I really influenced by lace. And the way that lace is also made of those structures, right? And so again, when you think about all of these strings, I actually took a workshop at Peters Valley School of Craft about bobbin lace making, and it's pretty tedious, and like I don't know if I'm gonna when I'll bring it into my work, but it was really interesting. I just wanted to understand. Like,
I think it kind of is part of your work before you even intend it to be.
Yeah. And so like you think of all these strings and then they're all folding and coming together, and the same when you're like painting lines and painting these patterns. And so I kind of approach that with like deconstructing or constructing them in different ways. So I paint a lot of lace patterns, or I use like marks to make it look like stitches, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's paint.
Right.
So playing with all of those ideas and then taking techniques and using them unexpectedly. So for example, like you were saying with the stitching, I like to sew. I'm actually working now. Like I like to sit down by fire in the winter and like I'm hand embroidering like an applique
Me too.
jacket, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Curtain for the bathroom that I'm
Oh,
renovating.
wow. Awesome.
So I work on those things, but I've heard, so like I was working in college. I think I had done some where I was like stitching on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as I started learning metalsmithing, I got a flex shaft.
Mm-hmm.
And now I actually have a little drill press, which has made a big difference from the
Oh,
flex
I
shaft.
bet. Yeah.
I had this to drill holes in metal, and here I was working on paper and stitching thread through the paper. And I just had that aha moment one day where I was like, well, wait a second. If I drill holes in the wood, then I can sew through the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that totally transformed my work when I started doing that. And it's complicated because with paper or with fabric,
Mm-hmm.
you keep making holes and the fiber just kind of expands.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
in wood, you have to predetermine what I call them intersections. You have to predetermine how many intersections you're going to have because each number of intersections needs a larger drill bit, a different size drill bit. So you have to figure that out ahead of time. And then without fail, I always forget because I'll show you like this is a really simple one. But this is that I took the frame off so you can see the back.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm.
So the stitching's going right through. This is easy because it's like a line. But when I do something like really, do I have one that I can pull down? Like complicated,
Mm-hmm.
Or like a really big piece and you'll just forget to drill, you'll miss holes. And then you've got to bring this like finished piece over to the drill press, over to the flex shaft and like drill these holes. And once in a while I just let them go. But yeah, so I paint, this is another good example. So I paint with tiny miniature brushes.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of layers. And I actually make the paints myself from pigment water dispersions. And I have different acrylic and urethane binders, technical, but there's
good.
Awesome company. You live in New York, so it's called Guerra Paint and Pigment. I think it's like Lower East Side. I think maybe is where they're considered. I can't even remember, but they have the coolest place. Like anybody who's into paint should go there. But yeah, so I just
what's it called again?
Guerra, Guerra. So you see these like pigments that are centrifuged in water, so it's like a little squirt bottle. And then I mix all these different binders. So some are opaque, like I have a white base one. There might be like glossy or matte. And then there's these really cool, it's called urethane, and they're all water soluble.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It settles out almost like, how like resin just is like really smooth. The urethane's like that. And so you can just mix these different combinations of paint, get these different textures. And then I like juxtapose all the different textures in the paintings.
So do you miss painting or do you feel like you do enough painting alongside your other work?
Yeah, I mean, I go through like I have a couple of wall pieces. But yeah, so I brought painting into jewelry and I have, jewelry with paintings on them. I have some larger.
So those are really similar to the paintings with the stitching on it, right? So it's like brought into your metal.
Like if you can, I don't know if you can see this one good. It's got beads. It's all like stitched and beads. And then like you can see in the back. All of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's just like bringing it all. And then I have a series. I'm going to jump around. I have a whole series of wall pieces where you can pull the piece off and wear.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome.
And so it's just
it has a place for it. You have a home for your work, for the jewelry.
That has like the stitching. Yep. And then there's tin. So I've got magnets inlaid. And then this is recycled tin. I took a awesome workshop with Marlene True, who works with tin cans. And that was really transformative for me because I realized tin is colorful,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's steel, so it's magnetic. And I was like, oh wow, like so all those moments.
Yeah, you have a new material that works well with what you want to do.
Yeah, and like this piece too, like all that green is a tin canister, and then this is like patinaed copper,
Mm-hmm.
and then silk thread that's like stitched on it, and then these are all beads that are just stitched on, and then around that is gold leaf. So
Oh, cool.
when I first graduated college, I worked for Bennett Bean, who
Mm-hmm.
is a ceramicist, and I would gild the inside of his pot. So I learned about gold leafing, and so I brought that in. So it's like I just always like I love to learn, and like
Yeah.
so
You
like I
get
said, I
different.
just like learn all these things over the years, and then I bring them into the work in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then the next step of what you're working on now is instead of thread, you're using wire,
Mm-hmm.
right? So do you want to show some of
Yeah.
those? So this weekend is Peters Valley School of Crafts art show, craft show, a virtual
Virtual
online,
market.
and it's a show that I've done for a handful of years that I adore. I get to go to the woods in Pennsylvania and stay in one of their amazing old houses in the woods. And so Brienne has been directing that show for years. How long have you been doing that show for?
So I was running the craft fair, I think 2018. So it's been about 3 years. I run the gallery at Peters Valley since 2009.
Okay.
Longer. And I just told Debbie today, and I'm gonna leave and become the incoming managing director at Snag. So I'm super excited for that.
It's a very exciting thing to
It's
do. Yeah.
awesome. I learned all my metalsmithing stuff like from classes there, and
Wow.
it's in the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area in it's actually northwestern New Jersey. So the park is Pennsylvania and New
Right.
Jersey, and I actually live in Pennsylvania, so that's where I
Okay.
am right now.
Mm-hmm.
And just right over the river is Peters Valley, and so the craft fair was held at the Sussex County Fairgrounds, which is
Right.
really beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a virtual event in the fall, and we're gonna have another one next weekend. So I will have a booth there.
Oh, awesome.
Because
So what are the
the
exact
cool thing
dates?
about virtual is that you can, I just showed, and we have a private Facebook group, and I was showing them a screenshot of how you can be in two booths at the same time, because it's all web browser based. So it's kind of like this where you're live on video,
Mm-hmm.
but I could just have two windows open and be in my booth, like monitoring it with the sound muted, and then be in somebody else's booth talking to them at the same time. So fun. It's super fun.
So you've actually you have a really amazing program that goes with the virtual program with Peters Valley with the craft fair. And do you want to explain it a little bit, or so that you can actually go visit and talk to all the artists and like ask them questions about their work and actually have an experience like that, which is unlike almost really any of the craft fairs right now. So that's something you can actually visit Brienne and ask her about that brooch and different things like that. But do you want to show us like a handful of pieces that that you're gonna be selling that next weekend?
Sure. Yeah. So everything's already mostly up on my website, but I do have some brand new work that I will get up in time. And so for the fall one, like when the pandemic hit, right? My big pandemic project was that I decided to challenge myself to make a production line. And I took a really cool steel jewelry class with Lynn Batchelder last summer. And so that just got me I really liked soldering steel. It's like very immediate, it's easy, it's durable. I like beat things around, and there's something about it that I really liked. And then combine that again, I'm a color person, right? So I had several years ago, Lindsay Ketterer Gates, who is now the director at Touchstone, she had worked at Peters Valley, and she was teaching at Haystack, and I went to be her assistant. And so I got all this wire and learned some techniques from her.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I had the supplies. So I'm like, well, I got them. Like, I better use them.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, I started just, you know, they're simple earrings. This is a brand new color that's not on my website yet. But these are like a simple.
Oh, that's a beautiful color.
So the steel underneath, and then it's all just wrapped, color coded.
Oh, wow. I'm going to turn the comments back on just to see if anybody wants. You can keep going.
Yeah, and like I can turn one on. And then I make all the ear wires. You know, I wanted them to hang a certain way, so these do like a whole like square thing to fit them and whatnot.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that looks good like that.
But those are fun. And then there's these ones like where I was just taking, again, different, playing with this idea of rings. So, you know, making ovals, making squares. Like I have all these dowels and I group them together and I do all this stuff. And like, you know, like the Roman chain, I use that kind of shape a lot. Or, you know, these are like these bent ones. And so I just kind of like layering them together.
Yeah.
And I think the they're just playful. You know, it's like all my work. I don't know if you can really see that one.
Yeah, really. Go to this your left side a little bit.
Put it on the other side. I know, but this one I like to fit like. No, actually, maybe it does go on.
I'll turn this off for now. I was just trying to get.
Oh no, I can see. You can keep them on.
Okay.
You can keep the comments on. They're not in my way.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's like playful. It's got movement. You know, and again, in the work, even if it's stationary, it's got movement and energy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like colorful and energetic. So
yeah, it's a great line. Then there's so many variations too.
Yeah, and then I've got these brand new ones, two new styles I'll show you. So I got really excited. These are my favorites. And I'm working on them on a couple other colors, but they're like a big, let's see. They're like all woven.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's funny because I made these. I love this green combination.
Yeah.
But like I had them hanging on the ear wire, and honestly, the way they were moving, they were like tickling me a lot. And so
one of the problems I have with designing large earrings is that, you know, a lot of people love long, large earrings, but I don't have a long space there, so it's hard for me to like try them on and be like, oh, that's it, you know, because they'll come down to here, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided to go with a post and then just use again that steel and show the steel as the post. And you know, they move a little bit, but like, yeah, it feels a lot better.
Yeah, that looks good.
So, and then I have a smaller one. Let me see, with that, the same idea, and this one has more of like a square post. So I don't know if you can, oops.
I'm going to turn this off for a little bit.
I can see it. What's up to you?
There we go.
So like, that's like a smaller size. And then again, like matching, like I didn't like that oval shape with the smaller, you know, so you've got to like adjust it. And it's, I don't know, it's like fun. They're fun.
They
fun
are really
to design.
Fun. How do you connect your ear wire to the steel? Do you solder it or?
Yep. Yeah, you can. Oops.
Yeah.
So the only thing is, steel pick, like you don't want to mix your steel and your silver pickle. So I actually got a pickle pot for silver, and I'm too lazy to put it in. So I want to work. I have these. I've ordered fine silver for this wall piece that I'm doing, and then I'm just too lazy to like get it all set up. So then I just work on something else. But so if you put it in for too long, it'll copper plate the ear wire. But I just
you can like take a little Dixie cup of it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it cleans up really easily. So that's how. And then these are super fun too. I mean, these were ones actually I did first. So the hoops followed this idea, and this is really fun because you can wear this. It's a different look on either ear. So you really got to get the back on to like let it sit right. But so this is like one look.
Oh yeah.
See that? But it's got like dimensionality. And then if you wear it on the other way, it shows the other color more.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Right. And then it shows also that negative space.
So you could swap your earrings and have like a different
Yeah.
pair.
So it's like a fun, again, it's got that dimension.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about these.
Two pairs in one.
Yeah. So they're super fun. And then yeah, I don't know. I've got like necklaces, again in that style. So the necklaces I feel like are a little harder to design. With this, earrings are kind of easier. Like especially with the woven, I've been thinking about it and I don't that's it. You can't really see it, but
Oh, you can see it.
I love how it's just like got these elements and then you just look at them and then they lay this certain way and I don't know.
So what I'm curious, Brienne, is did this line start before the pandemic, or was this kind of like a process that you did because of it?
Yeah, so I'd taken the workshop last summer. So, I'm like sitting with it. And again, when you have like a full-time job, you don't have all that much time to make. And so I think I had been kind of ruminating on it. And then to really, like occupy myself. And then, like I said, I decided when we like had to pivot the craft fair and we decided we were going to do this virtual market. And I was like, like I'm going to have a booth there. I'm going to do this. And like that, I've done the Philly Museum show and it's a little bit of like a higher end clientele.
Yeah.
Peters Valley has never seemed like the market for a lot of the work that I do. But I liked, and you and I were talking a little bit earlier, like I've always worked. So when I first, let me back up just a second and say, when I first did PMA, I was an emerging artist and I actually won the award for best new artist. Amazing.
That's great.
I did it 2 years in a row. And so that first year I had, because like I applied with wall pieces, right? And I'd started doing the removable jewelry, but I don't know how well that translates. We were talking about juried photos and like, it's hard. And so I had this idea to make jewelry with the same idea. And I had, I knew somebody, he's a really talented metalsmith, and I asked him about working in wax. And he showed me how to like shape the wax to cast it. And so I did these original pieces like this. These were cut on a bandsaw.
Oh, wow.
Were all made out of wax and molds and cast. And I had made 3 pieces for this application. That was like all I got done. And then I got into the show and I was like, oh my God, I have to make this body of work now.
Yeah.
So we made it. And then, the thing is they're all big, right? Big art jewelry pieces. And really on the bandsaw, you couldn't get that much smaller.
So wait, what was the bandsaw cutting? Was that the casting or?
Woods. They're all different kinds of wood. So this is oak. I don't know if you can see the texture.
Yeah.
And again, like here's the back. But they, so they're all like scraps of wood. Again, I worked at a craft school, meet woodworkers, have them give me all their like cutoffs of wood. So I had all these really exotic woods.
Yeah, that's
really
exciting.
cool, right? And so
yeah, I always love that.
Yeah, so I made that work, and then but everything was like, again, like $300 and up. And the show went well, right? For a new artist, like I have low expectations. So I was happy with it. And then I knew that I was automatically in the next year because I had won an award.
That's exciting.
At the same time, I remember seeing a call for a show, or no, it was like a grant or something. I don't know, something. But it was about utilizing technology. And I wrote this whole proposal about learning like 3D design. Like I ended up learning Rhino. Now I didn't get the grant, but the whole process, right, of coming up with the project, with the proposal, gave me this idea. And then I know I live near, and I used to live down in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and there's a university there. And the woman that runs they have all of this industrial design, 3D printing, things like that there. So I connected with her and I said, can one of your students tutor me? Like, I want to learn 3D, this 3D so that I could have, and at Shapeways, I don't think you can do it anymore. I haven't made this work in a few years, but you could have your 3D print made in wax.
Oh, cool.
Oh, the pieces, and this is one of those
do they print it in wax, or do they change it into wax?
They printed it in wax. Now I
Yeah.
don't think they do that anymore. So you could just get even get a metal printing and then like clean it up, right? Because it had like textures and stuff. So I still had to clean up the original casting before I could make the mold. Well, I didn't make it. I work with a caster, but
Sure.
and the insides are laser cut.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a much more even, clean, look.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned, right? So I was like, well, now that I want to do this project, like, let me make it happen.
Yeah.
Why I wanted to learn that is because I wanted smaller, more sellable work. So I have like little earrings.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Those are
like
awesome.
that. And then these little pendants. And they're still, like, to be honest, these are like maybe like 150, 170, depending on silver or bronze.
Mm-hmm.
They're really under, like, for the amount of work to make them. And I do another batch, I'd have to raise the prices for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had these, but then again, that's still like $150. So I'm really interested in this idea of like, artists need to get paid fairly, right? What it takes. And I always just somehow do these things that take so long. They're so labor intensive.
Pause here.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah, you pause for a sec. Go for it.
So just saying, like, I do like really labor intensive work, and but I think like it's just hard, right? We all make work that we can't afford ourselves. and this idea of having work that is accessible, right? You want to get your work out in the world, from the work that you make, like,
yeah.
So I'm like interested in this idea of a range, and can you successfully have that range? And I'm trying to figure that out.
I think that it has to appear to make sense to your clients, your customers, like, and whatever that might mean, and sometimes people do it with vermeil. Sometimes people do it with different ways to, you hear the word gold, even if it's vermeil, and it's like, it jumps price, like price is very interesting. It really, if you're doing PMA or Smithsonian, then you can price it for art jewelry, like if you're doing something, it kind of it always depends on where it is and what people perceive it as, but I think, if you price it lower than a lot of work in those particular shows, then it does, you can price it higher for sure, is what I'm trying to say. but it's hard because you might do other shows and want it to be accessible for them too. But you can also have a special for the show, or do different ways, like, there's different ways to do it so it's perceived right, and people feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, for sure. So like, I almost did the opposite of that, in that, like, I would say, like, I'm trying to get exposure, right? I'm trying to get my work out there. And so many people appreciate it, but they're like me, they can't afford it. Like, again, like, I can't afford my own work.
Yeah.
So that's really where I wanted to go with the steel, to have things that were like $50 to $150 or something like that, and then the problem is, like you're saying, like, then it's like with the new like woven pieces, like, they take so, right? So like at the end of it, like, you just get more and more into it, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is why I end up then having to charge more, because these are the things I want to make, right? Versus like the $30 earring.
Another way is by display, like, you can have the work that costs more displayed in a way that is more, even if it's accessible and people can touch it, it's more museum-esque or something like that. And then, I've seen your work, like, if you zoomed in to your picture right there, your wire earrings on, an earring display, where you can see 10 pieces at once. And like, And if it's on either, I mean, so I sold fine jewelry and glitter limes for many years together, and I would connect it by having, I would have gold work with glitter resin in it, or I tried to connect it by using the glitter resin as a precious material, which wasn't, with gold or with bimetal or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it kind of, your work all, like I said in the beginning of our talk, like it all speaks to each other, but they're all so different, and so I think it's possible with your work, because you can have your wire jewelry, and yeah, you can buy a pair of earrings for $30, but if you want some of the embroidery work, and that's actually like some of the like genius of sales, is that like, oh, I love your embroidery work, but this time I'm just gonna, I think I'm just gonna buy that $30 pair of earrings, and like, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay, they'll get that
Well,
other pair. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, and I mean, all the years that I ran the gallery, right, I always told our artists, like, especially jewelers, like, have a range of work, because sometimes when you have those lower price items, then it justifies the price of the higher price items, because then they can relate it and they can understand, right? If you just see the $300, $500 piece out
Mm-hmm.
of context, it seems like so much. But now all of a sudden, if you're in this whole price scale and you can understand that, then it makes sense. And then you usually, right? I know I hear jewelers say this all the time. So somebody will start at the $50 or $60 piece, right? Then they'll come back for the next, and they'll keep going up. And actually, I had a customer, my best customer, she at PMA the one year bought like a few pieces because she started with a small pendant. Then she came back a couple hours
Mm-hmm.
later. She went for a wall piece. The next day, she went for a bigger wall piece, and now she's like a whole collection of my work, right? And like, I love that. I just love that. And I've seen that happen a lot with artists, with collectors. So
Yeah, I think that you'll be okay. It's all about just getting the gusto to price it at what you really think it's worth, and like, or what you really think it should be. And like, I mean, on a different scale, when I have more expensive pieces like a bracelet or different things like that, a lot of people will get drawn to that and then go, oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll just get a ring. Okay, and I'll get the bracelet too. And so
yeah,
it always was like a psychology. It's just, there's affordable things, and then there's things that people want that they have to decide on, and then it kind of gives people time, to
yeah,
take a look around and see what you have, and have the experience of your work. It's
yeah,
cool.
for sure.
It's hard to price. It's an interesting, like, it's definitely an interesting dilemma.
Yeah. And then like, right. And then, oh gosh, well, we don't even have to get into pricing, but I'm just like right there, like the wholesale and the retail rate. And it's not just like you double it, you quadruple it. And I'm like, oh shoot, I was basing this on like a doubling. And now are they like half of what they're supposed to be? And like, yeah, I mean, we'll see, I just want to get work out there right now. And so I'm trying to keep it on as low as I can.
Yeah, but I think that it's good to remember that being at shows is getting out there. Almost, I mean, of course you want to sell work, but I feel like being there and being present with people is like, besides making money, is the same as getting it out there. So like, you don't have to just give it away in a way so that it's out there. It's like the same person who loved it at this show will see you the next time and still love it, and not that you don't have to like give away your work. I mean, and you can too. I mean, it's like there's all different ways to do it.
Right. Right. But it's so true, right? About building that like customer, like we do it a lot, right? In my job, it's like in marketing, right? And people have to see things 7 to 11 times before they're going to do anything. And so you're right. Like every time, right, that you're out there in the world, somebody's tuning in, and after they see you so many times, then that might be that time that they make that.
Yeah. Like even right now, whoever's going to see this tonight, tomorrow, whoever,
Yeah.
You might already start getting an idea of what you want to get next weekend, or, I'm having a sale all week. And so like, it just simmers.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I do the same thing, right? I've got all the artists that like, I'm holding out for this weekend, you know, and we had like ACC and Smithsonian, and I'm like, oh, but I already decided, like, I want to buy from these people. And so,
Oh, that's
can't wait,
awesome.
but they have, because, you know, it's the same thing for me. I mean, I love to collect, right?
Mhm.
Jewelry, ceramics, anything. Um, and I'm the same way. I mean, again, running a gallery for 10 or 12 years, like, I would see all the work that came in first. And there's people who, again, I build those relationships with them. So you want to support them. And I like their work. But then these pieces would come through and it's just like not the right piece that spoke to me, you know? And I can think of like one artist who had consigned with the gallery way before Peters Valley or sorry, before I was there at Peters Valley. And I really like her work, but like most of it isn't my taste. And then one day after I'd been there 8 years, a scarf came through that I was like, this is my scarf. You know, I wear it all the time. I love it. But I'm like that with a lot of people. So it's the same thing that we're talking about. You know, I do that as a buyer, and I'll just look
Yeah.
and wait for that piece that's really going to speak to me.
Yeah, it's like walking through their world of uh of making. You know what I mean? Like you can like visit their world, you know, I mean it's their booth, but it's also like you can through time visit their world of making and creating. And it's like it's a cool thing because even I've been doing it 25 years and I like even when I revisit things from other times, it's like a whole new dimension or like a whole different time, you know, of designs. And you know, same with you know, you can see
Yeah.
the evolution and like it's interesting. And then all of a sudden you might start doing purple and someone's like, oh
Yeah.
that is what I want, you know, which I would love.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's fascinating, but it's like, yeah. Pause. So we pause. So even after all that, I'm curious. So it's interesting that, you know, the why work came out of, did it come out of the pandemic because of like materials or just wanting to make something that someone can actually just like grab if they want something, or what do you think?
Yes. Sorry.
Go for it. Yeah.
Got me going.
Yeah.
Right. So I was saying like, right. So like part of, again, I had this, and again, I like challenges. I love in my professional job, I love challenges. And I like to be successful at them. So I work really hard to like take it on. I'm not always successful, but, I wanted, so again, yeah. So I've been trying to just work myself down to this lower or like larger or lower price range. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, when you think about a $50 to $150 price range for work, it's usually not one of kind work, that it's production.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got into that headspace and said, can I do a production line? Like this work, even these necklaces, which you can, again, you know, 3D print them, have that, and they're still all one of a kind.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they're time consuming. They were the most production-y thing, right? And even the other ones, like with just the shapes. But I wanted the challenge of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I loved about it was the process of like coming up with a collection where you needed a certain number, like a variety, right? And so I'm going to have X number of designs, and now I'm going to have them in X number of color combinations, and I need this many earrings and this many necklaces. And I know that people, when they really build their professional business, have this approach. I don't have the time to invest like in a super professional wholesale production business, and I'm not really interested. Like I go on the Halstead webinar. They have amazing webinars. You should all check them out.
Where?
Halstead Bead. They have a whole
sure.
component.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this really cool symposium that you can probably still find the videos for in the winter. But, you know, I tuned into the ones about like pricing your work, setting up the wholesale account, all the stuff, right? And like, it's a lot of work. And it's a full-time job. And I'm so respectful of people that choose to do that, right? And I have these other passions in my life, working for nonprofits and doing things beyond me, right? That like, I've like committed to do that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I know that I can't put in everything that would be required to have a really successful like wholesale jewelry business or something. You know, it's like I'm trying to balance it all out.
Mm-hmm.
But what I mean with that is like I just loved that challenge of thinking about making differently and like pushing myself to go, okay, well, how many different shapes can I make with it? You know, all I'm using is like 4 different, you know, it's like rules, right? And I always hear other artists talk about like you have like rules and parameters, and that's some people work that way and some people don't.
What do
But
you
I
mean by rules?
yeah, like I've got all these, how can I make combinations? Again, taking all the materials, how can I combine them in new and unexpected ways? So let me take these dowels and put them together to get irregular shapes. And can I go and get mix these squares? And then can I put it and bend it to make these other shapes? And just pushing that idea of, you know, it's like the idea of chain making and how many different ways can you make chain
Mm-hmm.
or an
Mm-hmm.
earring wire? How many different designs can you make for an earring wire, right? And I wanted this, again, I show you, I wanted this very specific ear wire. And I had, my boyfriend's a woodworker. I had him make me like a jig because I wanted it to be straight and
Mm-hmm.
curved.
Yep.
And I measured. And so I have like a piece of wood where I stick the wire in and bend it to the length. And then I wrap it around this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I like that. I hadn't
Yeah.
worked like that before. And
Mm-hmm.
so with all of these different bodies, it's a different way of working. And that really then pushes you even further because it's like, again, I work in all these different materials. I don't just do this one thing. Like my mind is just,
Yeah.
it's all,
It opens doors for design when you have new ways of doing things.
yeah. Yeah. And so I really like, I just like the process of it. I think it's,
Mm-hmm.
and I like having, also I like to be organized as much as I can be, but like, I liked that, you know, I have a photo, I have to do it for my new pieces. Like you have to be in the right mind to do it, but like, I've got the binder with the photo where I've got like what size and what wire and what length is the wire and
It sounds
geek,
like you would
you know,
actually
we
be
talked
ready
about
for a
geeking out on
wholesale.
technology earlier. Like I geek out on those kind of things
Yeah.
a little.
It sounds like you would actually be ready for wholesale accounts doing it that way. But what I was going to say about wholesale earlier is that because of sites like Fair and stuff like that, if you ever did want to try and you did work with Fair, like you don't have to go to New York Now or something like that in
Mhm.
order to, which would mean that you have to do everything that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
I did wholesale for 20 years before I started doing more retail. And like, I feel like if you did want to, you could put up 15 pieces on Fair and then you would all of a sudden just be able to, if that's what you were interested in. It's a little easier now, possibly. I mean, it depends, but it can
Yeah.
be.
No, I love that. I have that site bookmarked and it's been again one of those things where I just like haven't put time in
Yeah.
to looking at it. But yeah, I mean it's that idea, right? Because going and get those wholesale accounts, it's again, it's work, right? And so yeah, now you're giving a plug. I'll have to really prioritize at that
Yeah,
website.
if you ever want to talk to me about that, you can.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Well, is there? Let me see if there's anybody on that wants to give any questions or want to see anything. Oh, hey, Paul. I don't know who is still on, but if you guys have any questions you want to ask Brienne about about anything, really.
Anything. I'm an open book.
Ask us now. And wait, Brienne, what's your handle? Is it Brienne? Oh, it's right here.
Yeah, it's just Brienne Rosner.
So you
And
follow Brienne Rosner, follow Glitter Limes. Oh,
and if you want to sign up for the virtual craft market that we're doing at Peters Valley next weekend, you can just go to at Peters Valley and there's a link in like the link tree for that. And what Debbie was saying about the platform, it's so cool. It's like you literally just go into booths and then people are almost like Zoom. They're in on video. People are going to be doing demonstrations. They're going to be there and then you can shop their websites and you can literally like it's all web browser. So you're like on video like this, but then you can also be shopping their website at the same time. And so like you can put links in and ask them to show you something that you see on their website. And
very cool.
It's a super cool platform. I mean, it can actually do so much more than the attendees are capable. I'm telling you, I just finished the tutorial video today. I like updated it. Last time I didn't have the written instructions, which I'm working on a web page for. That's my big project for tomorrow. But because I had to watch the video like 20 times, right? And especially have a little bit of an older demographic catching on. I've been helping our artists along, and it's really interesting the way that their minds work, or like when you've really grown up with technology or haven't, how you pick things up or how intuitive they are or not. So it's definitely a little bit of a learning curve for some people, but we're all of our we do 3 days of practice, so that's actually the most fun part about it, because all the exhibitors, we're all in our own private event, and so we all visit each other in booths and have lots of conversations.
That's exciting. I like that. I'm gonna have to come visit everybody.
We're all like knowledgeable about how to use the platform, so we help everybody.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I think we're gonna end it just so we can try to keep the pixels good.
Cool. Yeah.
And
well, thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
You're welcome. I loved having you.
And, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Everybody go visit her at the Peters Valley craft fair, virtual craft fair. You can find it on her site. You can find it through Peters Valley. And it was a pleasure talking to you.
You too. And we'll have to talk soon.
Okay. Sure. Bye.
Cool.
Good
Bye.
night.